At the beginning of this semester, I felt really uncomfortable. I was in a new city, working in a place that was really intimidating. My work at the governor's office was mostly to answer phones. I talked with constituents about problems that they were having or opinions that they held, and most of these calls were really intense. People didn't really call the governor's office to say thank you for all the hard work you're doing and you're doing such a great job. So a lot of these conversations that I had were intense and high stress. My second call I ever took was from a man who, from the minute I answered the phone, just started yelling at me. He was, frankly, I don't really know what he was yelling about, but I could tell that he was yelling at me, calling me pretty derogatory things. I had to sit on the phone as he yelled at me, and after he hung up, I ran to the bathroom. I kind of stumbled because I didn't know what was going on. I'd never been called those things before. I didn't know how to deal with an interaction like that. And from then on, the phone calls that I had with people who were upset or having some sort of really intense problem were very difficult for me to have, to sit through. My cheeks would get flushed, my hands would start to sweat. I ended up feeling really alone. In a city where every day I talked to people on the phone all day long, and in a commute that I packed myself onto the Green Line train every morning trying to get a spot. I really missed my small liberal arts campus in Worcester and my small, slow-moving Midwestern town that I came from, where trips to the grocery store took twice as long because you had to talk to all the people you saw there. I decided that I had to change that feeling of isolation. So I moved to build some sort of support, some sort of community around me that I could lean on during those difficult phone calls and interactions. I began to say hi to the state troopers in the state house when I walked in the morning. I would joke about them, or joke about the weather with them. I would introduce myself to people in the office, staff that came in, and I would spend time with other interns, joking with them, taking lunch in the common, talking about what brunch meant in terms of if someone asked you to it or not. I slowly began to feel more comfortable in this city and my role at the governor's office. I began to feel more comfortable in the work that I was doing. I had more patience and empathy for people on the phones. In those difficult conversations, I could sit and I could listen to them, hear their stories, and try to help them as best I could. I ended up helping a homeless couple find stable housing. I spoke with a woman almost once a week, she really just called to talk about her life, but at the end she would always remind me that she loved me like a daughter, and if I ever had any trouble, to find her on Facebook. And I met a man who walked in a full purple pinstripe suit with a purple sequin hat, and he was talking to me about how he had played with Jimi Hendrix in the 80s. Some of you might know, Jimi Hendrix died in 1970, so I don't know if that was totally true. So now reflecting on the end of my semester, I feel so fulfilled by my internship, despite everything that I went through in the beginning. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't been intentional about what I wanted and what I needed, nor called upon my very Midwestern Minnesota skills of friendliness and connection to build a place that would support my growth. So I encourage all of you to practice community building in areas of your life that you feel like you need more support in, as well as challenge yourself to be really intentional about seeking out what you need to feel that similar sense of fulfillment that I did.